People only buy small cars with a luxury brand on the nose so they can say, hey, I own an Audi or a BMW or a Mercedes. Might sound a bit harsh, but come on, we all know it's true, at least to some extent. But what should you expect from a luxury branded hatchback like the new Mercedes-Benz A class? Well, the BMW 1 Series offers a sporty drive, Audi and VW have the comfort and practicality side of things covered with the A3 and the Golf respectively, so does that leave the A class to sweep up on the luxury side of things? Let's take a look. Oh, and because of where it sits in the market, just before we get into all the details, I feel it's important to just note that this car behind me cost £32,145. So just bear that in mind. Classy car in a small package. Now that's what this interior is supposed to be, and it's no secret that the interior of the previous A-Class had a slight whiff of cheapness about it. Not in terms of the layout, but just in terms of some of the materials used. Well, I'm glad to say that this new A-Class is very different. This is actually the AMG line trim that we've got. Now there's soft touch materials dotted all about the place, at least where it's most important, like on top of the dash and on the door. Yes, there are a few scratchy plastics lower down, but to be honest, you've got to be looking for them. And overall, it does feel like some of that larger Mercedes saloon DNA is seeping through. And Mercedes says that this borrows finishing touches from the S-Class, and yeah, and that brings me on to the MBUX multimedia system, which is actually debuting on the A-Class. Now, at first it can be a bit overwhelming with the numerous screens, this swipe and click touchpad and the multiple buttons on the steering wheel, but stick with it, trust me, you will learn to love it. I just like the variety of ways you can interact with it. I mean, you can even just use this as a normal touchscreen if you wanted. I really like that. Now, when it comes to simplicity, yes, BMW with its classic rotary dial does reign supreme, but in terms of overall intuitiveness and variety, I think this wins hands down. But as with most German cars, this ain't cheap. If you want these seamlessly linked screens, then you're gonna have to go for the £2,395 premium package, and that also adds the likes of park assist, heated seats, and a superfluously brilliant 64 colour ambient lighting option, which does look awesome at night. And if you do want that trademark Mercedes-Benz cabin feel, then I would recommend going for the premium package. Otherwise, you just get two standard 7-inch screens here, and it's just not the same. There is some great standard kit though. You get a reversing camera, sat-nav, aircon, and cruise control. There's USB Type-C connectors too, which is good future-proofing on Mercedes' part, but if you're not up to date with all the newfangled tech and phones, then you're gonna need an adapter. Practicality all around in the cabin is good as well. You've got some large door bins here, you've got some central storage here, 2 cup holders, loads of storage in this armrest, and most importantly, it just feels cozy and spacious and much bigger than your standard hatch. And these sports seats aren't bad either. Now, those sports seats aren't so great for rear passengers because it can make you feel a bit claustrophobic. And I don't know if you noticed then, I did struggle when climbing in a little, and that's due to these slightly intrusive wheel arches. But once you're back here, there's loads of legroom and there's loads of headroom, and you're only really going to struggle if you have 3 adults side by side or if any of them are over 6 foot. A few other things to note back here. This armrest is optional. There's some really nice sized door bins. You've got 2 USB Type-C ports down here, again emphasis on the Type-C, and these speakers just seem a bit flimsy. Coming around to the boot, the opening is now slightly wider than the last model, which makes getting larger objects in and out much easier, and there's up to 380 litres with the seats in place and 1,220 litres with the seats down. Now that space is hindered slightly with this rather large load lip, which can't be eliminated with an adjustable boot floor because, well, there isn't one. However, those seats do fold almost completely flat, making loading longer objects to those back seats easy. Now, we almost forgot to mention that this MBUX system comes available with augmented reality navigation. At a price, of course, £500, and it utilises the forward-facing camera to deliver you directions like this. Under the bonnet, we've got the 180D diesel, which is a 1.5 litre unit with 116 horsepower and a 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint time of 10.5 seconds. So it's not going to blow you away when it comes to performance, but with 111 grams per kilometre of CO2 and an average of around 55 to 60 miles per gallon, which equates to a 30% BIK tax bracket for 2019 and 2020, I'd say that's a pretty good compromise. If you want to get the most out of the A-Class, then you'll get up to speed on the motorway and just let it do its thing, which is cruising along effortlessly. And again, I've got to mention this lovely cabin, which very much lends itself to that transporting you in luxury kind of feel. Don't get me wrong, the A-Class can handle itself when pottering about town, but the light, slightly slow to react steering doesn't really inspire country road driving. The ride, while mostly comfy all round, can clatter a little over uneven roads. Also, this 7-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox, which is standard by the way, just feels a little slow to react when nipping out at junctions. Great when you get up to speed, but just another thing that makes you wish you were on the motorway. So, is the A-Class class leading when it comes to driving dynamics or practicality? Well, no it isn't. So why should you pay Mercedes prices? Well, because of that interior. In my opinion, if spec'd right, that is class leading. You can really feel the high class pedigree coming through, and it makes it worthy of that badge on the bonnet. Now, if you're just after a showy badge on the bonnet, then yeah, there are cheaper ways to achieve it, but arguably much less effective.